What's happening, man? We got Rushion McDonald with us. What up, man?
Money
Hey, man, I'm doing good, man.
conversation.
I'm telling you, man, this is a fever pitch moment in our lives, team.
Absolutely. Man, it is time to have that money-making conversation with you, Rushion. What's happening?
Yes, sir. Well, I think that we started out our conversation in the pandemic with the COVID-19 and how it overwhelmed not only America but the Black community. When a report came out with the CDC that in the month of April that 80% of the victims of COVID-19 were African Americans.
Right.
And that was 3 days after the Governor Kemp in the state of Georgia opened the state. And that's unfair, because of the fact that you have to believe that he knew that information ahead of time. So he opened the state prior to the information being revealed. Because as always, my whole disturbance with this whole situation from the White House, State House, local communities throughout this country is there's no plan.
Right.
There's no agenda. And that is what we're all suffering from, is no plan, no agenda. When I get a number saying that 7 out of 10 COVID-19 victims in Louisiana are African American or Black or people of color, that's very disturbing because nobody's bringing that to the forefront. And so when you have a money-making conversation, this is what disturbs me the most. People get in that corner and believe that if it doesn't bother affect me, then it won't affect me. Yes, it does.
That's right.
Yes, it does. My casualty affects your casualty in the form of taxes, in the form of health benefits, and of course I could be a tax-paying citizen. I can make a company run better if I have a healthy lifestyle, if I'm given an opportunity to win. And so when we're talking money-making conversations, it's all about us. And not just you, or not just the have and the have-nots. The have-nots have to get the haves now. And that's what the problem I have with the conversations that I'm seeing out there every day. And I'm just happy to come on the show to discuss that. Not only, we know that the pandemic is on top of us, and guess what? It's still happening. We had 105,000 people have died so far. Nobody's talking about that because we have a racial situation that, guess what? The president of this country is ignoring.
And the thing is, we all come from the bottom, from being the have-nots. And when we finally make it, we lose it. Speaking of which, George Daniels from George's Music Room, he had a beverage depot. He lost it. How do we get it all back? Let's talk about that when we come back. And also, we're going to be talking to legal analyst Joey Jackson, and he's going to be talking about the 2 conflicting autopsies on George Floyd. That and much more. Don't move. Is Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn. More with Rushion McDonald at 10 after the hour.
Everybody get out. Real people, real radio.
It's Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn. Inside the party poll at 888-909-1514. We're talking to brand strategist Rushion McDonald, and we're talking about how many Black businesses have lost out in these protests, man. I mean, you build up and you have it all taken away. How do you recover from something like this?
That's the sad part about it. I was living in Los Angeles during the Rodney King riot, so I've seen this play itself out before. Is that, you have people who have good faith, good cause, good reasoning, surrounded by people who have agendas. Now, we don't know if some of the people who are tied to the agenda are being paid, because we started to detect that a lot of these people who are coming in from out of state, are not from the local markets. So that raises flags as to why they're coming in to raise these different situations. So it takes away from the message and stuff like that. And later on, I want to talk about what are your rights in a protest. I want to bring that up because we all have rights in the protest, and there are certain things we can do and we can't do. But the number one thing when you have a business, you got to have insurance. You got to have insurance. What you do in business is you lay out your budget, and insurance has to be at the top of your deal. I got insurance for everything. I got insurance for my car. I got health insurance. I got dental insurance. I got optometry insurance for my glass, for if I need glasses or contacts. Insurance has to be at the forefront of your job. So if you're paying your insurance premium annually or monthly, then I'm not saying it's cool, but if you've been damaged by these riots, your insurance should cover your situation and you should be all good. Now, a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people want to start their business on a wink wink. They want to start their business on it's cool. Some people are driving cars out there with just liability and not full coverage. And so when we start businesses, we have to realize the what if part of the equation. And if you don't start your business with the what if part of the equation instituted into your budget, then you'll be disappointed. And that's what happens to a lot of people today, not just African Americans, but white people, all people start business with a bad sense of understanding what it costs to run a business. You have to pay taxes, you have to pay insurance, you have to pay unemployment taxes, you have to pay taxes on the income if you have dollars. If people are paying admission, that's taxable. So it's so many different layers of taxes. I remember when I opened my first comedy club in Houston, Texas, I thought the $10 that I was bringing through the door was all mine. Wrong.
And some of us still think that way.
Right. I thought, hey, $10, that's mine. Wrong. Okay. So I had to set aside a portion of that to pay to the government. So to pay to the state. So guess what? If I didn't set aside that, then I have a big tax bill waiting on me at the end of the month. Now they'll let that slide for about 90 days, but they're gonna come looking for their money.
That's right.
Same thing with liquor. You know, when you buy liquor, then there's a certain percentage they expect you to buy. They have a formula. When you buy a bottle of liquor, if you have a nightclub or a place that serves liquor, they have a formula that say that bottle of liquor is going to give you this amount of money. And they're going to expect that amount of tax dollars paid on that. So you can't say, hey, you know, how you got that? Hey, where my money at? If you charge $10 a glass, it doesn't matter to them. All they know is this. That bottle of liquor, you owe us this amount of taxes on it. Now, when you register it and it goes above that, you're going to owe us that amount of taxes on it too. So that's what people forget and don't understand when they open a business is that there is a line item that is tied to if you make money, guess what? We want some of it too. So if you have a business that's been damaged in the ride, you have to make sure you have insurance. Tell a whole story about, you know, not just a sad situation of his business was damaged, but also the fact that he more likely was covered. I know George, he's been in business for a long time. He's insured. So that's just a sad story that his business was damaged. But the bottom line, everybody who's listening, if you're going to start a business, make sure you have insurance. The thing I have to say about the civil crisis we're in right now is that white people are mad too. I got to just say it just like that.
Right.
White people are not happy, and that's important, the way I say that, because if just black people are unhappy, then change will not happen.
Right.
If other people are unhappy with us, then that can galvanize people to say we should create change because we all need to be happy, not just a portion of the United States.
Rushion, I want to
Yes,
rewind for a second because you were talking about the protesters and the protesters having rights. What are those rights?
Well, first of all, you have a First Amendment right to gather.
Right.
Okay, and so there are certain things you should look at. You know, a police officer, if you go to a protest, then people can't record you. Okay, you've given up their right. It's like if you go to certain television tapings or film tapings, they have signs that say, if you walk in this room, you've given up the right of freedom. We can record you. So you give that up. So if a police officer stops you, please be polite. Please don't become agitated. Also, don't stand next to people who are agitated, okay? And also, if you're going to bring a backpack to there, make sure it's a clear backpack because you don't want to act like you're bringing something to the party or to the protest that might be suspicious.
Right.
Now, if a police officer arrests you, remain calm. I'm just let you guys know this about a protest. The police officers are there. I don't know their state of mind, but they're there to protect the city. Okay, we've seen peaceful protests, and we've seen protests that just straight out just stealing, just embarrassment for us all, because we all want change, and change is not going to happen when you stealing and you breaking windows. That's not going to happen. I remember the day that the first day when in Atlanta, I was watching the protests at 6:00, and I turned to my daughter. I said, "Guess what? When it gets dark, this is going to change. It's not going to end good." She said, "Why, Daddy?" I said, "Look at that situation. They already throwing water bottles in the daylight."
You know what's coming at night.
Absolutely.
You know what's coming at night. And so I just always tell people that if you see something that's not right, exit, leave the protest. Okay, leave it. Because if you just go leave just the knuckleheads there, we all know who they are.
Right.
If you get away from the knuckleheads so we can identify the ignorant.
Right.
Don't allow ignorance to overwhelm the cause. And we see that. You know, people cussing, people pushing up on the police and all that stuff. Get away from that person. Allow that person to have his moment.
Absolutely.
And let them arrest that person. Because you have the right of a police officer. He can't take your phone. He can't take your phone and delete stuff off your phone. If you get arrested, if you call a lawyer, a police officer cannot listen in on your phone call. But if you call a family member or a friend, a police officer can listen in. A lot of people don't know that. These are facts that people need to know when they walk out there. Also, you know, you can, for protest, you also can get a permit to protest. But if you get a permit to protest, you can only stay in that area that you got the permit for.
There you go, y'all. Well, listen, we continue how these conversations and the money-making conversations with Rushion McDonald. Tell them where they can find you, Rushion.
Well, you know, just go to moneymakingconversation.com. I have all interviews of celebrities, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and influencers. And we're about making people's lives right. So I also got a YouTube channel. It's called YouTube at Money Making Conversations. So I look forward to always people coming there to get information that will change their lives.
My man, Rushion McDonald. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you.
Thanks,
I
bro.
appreciate it. You guys be safe, okay?
You too, brother.
Everybody get out. people, real